So much. Thank you so much, Brother Andrew. Really a massive pleasure and an honor to be here once again. I really enjoyed the last time. And it's just so great to be back here to share, with these lovely and wonderful people, some of the insights that God has blessed me with to really help people to empower themselves with the knowledge and the tools they need to take their health to the next level. So I'm going to just quickly share my screen so we can jump straight in and hope don't have any more of these awful gremlins that have been trying to hamper tonight's proceedings. But as you said
Absolutely.
earlier, they're not going to stop what is
Not gonna
meant to
stop.
happen. Okay, so all right, let's go to the right screen.
I want to give a shout out to Jamie King, Sister Corinne, Brother Gus. You blew up the show last week, my king. All right, yes, it looks like a sharing, Dr. Juice. Oh, let's have a look. It's on your, yeah. Wicked.
Does it come up?
My king. Pure love to you, Dr. Juice. All yours, king.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to get these screens to start from the beginning. I'll put it on share and present. We've got a really fantastic session lined up for you today. So I'm really pleased that we still managed to get the numbers of people that we have got signed in. For those who don't know me, I am Aaron Warden, aka the Juice Doctor. I am a clinical nutritionist, a detox specialist, natural health researcher, a plant health researcher, also a plant-based product manufacturer. So we specialize in producing plant-based superfoods and nutraceutical foods. We are regenerative health specialists. I'm also an author, a social entrepreneur, a founder of My Health University, member of Forbes Black Excellence Society, CEO and founder of Go Detox, Vivo Nutrients, and My Health Care Group. And it is my pleasure, absolute pleasure to be here tonight to share with you wonderful people about the wonderful healing power or powers of foods. So we're talking food, we're talking nutrition, we're going to be talking how you can access the healing power of these wonderful, amazing nutrients. So don't forget to keep in touch if you want to get in touch with me, as many people did try to follow in the last visit. Here's our email details here. You can take a picture of the screen. It's askjuicedoctor@gmail.com if you want to get in touch by email. We have our TikTok channel, which is a really powerful channel. I never knew TikTok was so influential in reaching out to people and really sharing a lot of really powerful and useful information. So we just launched our TikTok channel. So if you want to follow me on Ask Juice Doctor or Ask Dr. Juice Doctor on TikTok, we can share a lot of the other nuggets that we have on there. We also have our website, which is myhealthcaregroup.net. We get a lot more information about what we do and how we do. We also have our product website, which is www.vivonutrients.com. Vivo meaning in the body, as opposed to VO, which is in the Petri dish. We don't do the Petri dish. We actually do live, not in vitro, but in vivo, in the body. So we have a lot of studies on the effects of our food and the nutrients, how they've been able to impact the body and bring about phenomenal change. We have our online university that we've started, which is the miuniversity.com. And you can also get hold of us on Instagram or Ask Juice Doctor. Our YouTube channel is there as well. And our WhatsApp, which is My Health University, and our Telegram. If you want to get in touch by phone, you can use any of these phone numbers. You get through to either myself or one of our telephonists or any one of our team. So let's jump right into some of the reasons why we're here today. Now, I'm sure you're aware of Thomas Edison. Some of you may know him from the controversial history of the light bulb, which we know he wasn't the real original originator of, but people are still giving him that claim to fame for the light bulb. But he was also a very powerful inventor. And one of the things he said that has resonated with many people for over 100 years is that the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but he will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. Now, this is a man, a visionary, who spoke these wonderful words over 100 years ago, and people are still only just cottoning on to the power of those words by actually now starting to come over into the power of using nutrition and food and actually using root cause medicine to actually tackle issues and maladies from the root. I've come across a lot of doctors now that are actually starting to investigate the wonderful world of, they call it complementary or alternative medicine, because they've been so used to doing allopathic medicine and they found that it's actually not working, and they're not getting the results that they want to get for their patients. They're getting a bit frustrated with only being able to spend 5 minutes with a patient and then having to go on Google to try and Google their symptoms to try and get a better understanding. But then they're seeing, on the other hand, people are coming in who steered away from using the GPs and using the doctors and conventional methods, and they're going into alternative, they're going into complementary, and they're coming back with phenomenal results. They're coming back and they're dumping their blood pressure, they're dumping their diabetes medication, they're dumping their arthritic medication, and the doctors are getting curious as to why this is happening and what exactly they are doing. And 99% of the time, it is to do with using food, using plants, using herbs, and using nature. Another great visionary of his time was Hippocrates. He said, over 1400 years before Christ was born, he said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. That was Hippocrates. He was the founder of, they called modern health, and I'm sure there are other people who have that claim to fame, but Hippocrates is the one that has stood this test of time and still being spoken about today. He's also behind the Hippocratic Oath that doctors and medical professionals take, which is the first tenet of is do no harm. And interesting enough, I was at the university yesterday in Nottingham, and I was speaking to some of the students, the student nurses, and I was asking them what level of learning are they at that particular stage. And this was yesterday. They said they were on year 3. Some of them were on year 4 out of a 5-year course. And I asked them, what do you learn about the body? And they said, oh, we learn all about the biology. We learn everything about the body, about the organs, about the tissues and how they work, etc. And I said, what do you do when something goes wrong? Oh, well, they teach us how to cut them out, surgery, different, surgical approaches. I was like, wow. It was just interesting hearing it from a doctor firsthand. There was about 5 of them who just having a random general conversation. And they were so happily saying that, yes, we just cut things out because we're trained to look at surgical operations or surgical interventions as the only way to deal with any kind of problems or situations as they arise. So I asked her, what about food? Do you do much on nutrition or much on diet? Well, not really. I said, why not? They said, well, because you have dietitians, you have, dietetics department. And I was like, wow. So they themselves, the doctors, aren't actually trained in any aspects of nutrition or plant-based diets or lifestyle medicine. They are completely taught in how to deal with things from a medical, chemical, or surgical perspective. That's what they're taught. So you can't really fault them when they are applying what they know or what they've been taught, because that's the way they've been trained. So it's very interesting to hear that perspective from 3rd year and 4th year doctors who were almost coming to the end of their training and were going to be launched and released into the medical field to come and almost be butchering people whenever they didn't know any other way of dealing with their issues. Anyway, I'm going to show a quick doctor who talks about the power of food. Doctor friend of mine, Dr. Mark Hyman, and he talks about the power of food, and he's going to really sum up some of the things that I'm going to share with you today. So take a quick listen to this.
I can't hear anything, brother.
Oh, you know?
No, when you shared the screen, did you share your sound as well?
Okay, let me check that. Share sound. Okay, you're absolutely right. I'll start that again.
Regulate your immune system. What you put at the end of your fork is more powerful than anything you'll ever find in a prescription bottle. It works faster, better, and cheaper. It has the power to influence and improve the expression of tens of thousands of genes, to optimize tens of thousands of protein networks, to balance your hormones, improve your brain chemistry, upregulate your immune system, and even to enhance your microbiome. And it works without any side effects except good ones. So this is really a drug. I just will give you a quick story. I've told this story before, but it's so important to understand how quick and fast this is. I had a patient, and this patient illustrates this more than anything. She was 66. She had heart failure, angina, had multiple stents. She had type 2 diabetes on insulin for years, hypertension. I mean, you name it, she had it. She came to see us and she changed her diet. And within 3 days, of changing her diet. She was off insulin. And by the way, she was on a pile of pills that cost $20,000 a year for her copay. In 3 months, she was off her medications. Her heart failure reversed. Her kidneys normalized. Her liver normalized. And she lost a bunch of weight.
Can you imagine? 3 years, 3 days, sorry, 3 days, she was able to see a marked improvement. And one of the things that you said that was very interesting was that when she already came to see the hospital, came to the doctors, they've already operated on her heart and given her a stent. That means they've given her like a bypass to enable the heart and the arteries to stay open and the valves to continue pumping the blood around the body. So their only way of intervening when they saw there were problems with the heart was to go in from a surgical perspective and start cutting her open and putting stents in her body. But as soon as she started to turn to food, my goodness, you saw how she was able to reverse all of her conditions. And this is something that we're seeing on a daily basis. And it really excites me every day when I wake up to wonder whose lives are we going to impact today? Whose lives are we going to help transform today? And whose life are we going to give hope that where they thought there was no hope before? I'm going to show you another quick doctor who's also come over to the other side. And he had a very, very powerful insight and perspective on cancer. So there's many foods that can help to heal heart disease and some of the most pressing diseases that are killing a lot of people today. But cancer is also another massive, massive thing that's on the rise. They're actually calling it turbo cancer. That's what doctors are coining the levels at which cancer rates are soaring and the way they're developing so quickly. But again, this is something that can be addressed very, very effectively via food. Have a listen to this. Put it back up, present.
So, good news. There's foods that can kill cancer stem cells. Like what? Like purple potatoes, all right? The anthocyanins that make purple potatoes purple kills colon cancer stem cells. Green tea kills cancer stem cells. So does coffee. Get your morning Joe, all right? That's actually good for cancer fighting. And as I talked to you before, tree nuts like walnuts can be really helpful, all right? We know that a strong immune system can wipe out cancer cells too. So what are some immune boosting foods that you can eat to beat cancer? All right, ready for some? Broccoli sprouts. These are the 3 to 4 day old little baby broccolis. They powerfully stimulate your immune system. Blueberries. All right, a couple of blueberries will pop up your immune defenses so that you're more able to actually beat cancer. Chili peppers, they do that as well.
Amazing. You see those foods, simple foods. And although people talk about the foods, they talk about green tea, they talk about blueberries, they talk about chili peppers. But oftentimes people eat these foods, but not fully understanding what it is about these foods or why exactly these foods are having such a profound healing effect on the body. So we're going to kind of open up that can of worms, so to speak, and really take a deep dive into exactly what foods and what exactly are the components, the compounds, the phenols, the phelanins, the alkaloids that are in these foods that are actually containing the healing properties. And once you start to have the understanding, not only will you know what foods to eat or what foods to incorporate into your diet, but also why these foods are important and what other ways you can get some of these foods in, because some people may have issues digesting or even accessing some of these foods, and more importantly, the properties and the compounds that they contain. So what I'm going to help you to do today is to have a deeper understanding of what exactly is in these foods that is actually affecting the healing attributes and the healing powers. One of the things that you may or may not know that you already are at an advantage by having, if you're a person of color, a very powerful part of your makeup called melanin. Now, melanin is not just about your skin. Melanin is also about your brain. Melanin is also about your cells, how your cells are divided, and how those cells are protected. And there's certain things about your food that can actually activate your melanin and upregulate it and enhance it and its ability to protect you and keep you well. Because not only does melanin keep you at a higher level than your counterparts who don't have melanin, but it's also a very powerful antioxidant. And antioxidants are responsible for fighting against free radicals. Free radicals are those little molecules in the air that they steal the oxygen content from any item. So if you look at an apple, for example, when an apple is covered in the skin, it's surrounded by its antioxidant layer, which is the skin of the apple. Now, when you cut the apple or you take a bite into the apple, and as soon as you leave it open and exposed to the air, within a matter of seconds, you'll start to see the apple going brown. The reason for that is because natural airborne free radicals will go and steal the oxygen component from that skin, that lovely white skin, and that will cause what we call oxidation, like when things start to rust. So now it's lost its oxygen molecule, that lovely white skin in the apple, that lovely white texture in the apple will start to go brown. That's because of oxidation. So when you have fruits, fresh fruits, and especially leafy greens, fresh fruits and vegetables, they are rich in compounds called antioxidants. And what these antioxidants do is they destroy those free radicals and stop them from damaging the cells, damaging your tissues, and ultimately damaging your organs. So we're going to talk a little bit about free radicals. We're going to talk a little bit about antioxidants and the power of antioxidants and what foods contain what levels of them. So let's look at some foods that are actually really beneficial to your food, to your body and your health and your well-being. Because when you look at your melanin, one of the things you've got to realize about melanin, like every other part of the body, it needs to be fed. It needs to be supported because it relies on your diet. So there are a lot of foods that you eat that actually support the production and the operation of melanin, but likewise, there are also foods that will destroy and break down and deregulate the effectiveness of that melanin. Melanin is a really, really powerful tool and a powerful part and component of the body that many people don't really know about. And if you knew how much how many billions they have spent on studying melanin, you will be absolutely gobsmacked. They have spent billions on trying to understand how this melanin works and how people that are very melanated have such a advanced level of immunity. They're still doing studies until today. But anyway, we're going to talk a little about some of the foods that will feed that melanin and give you your superpower, that extra bit of strength, and stop you from giving it that kryptonite, that we use that analogy, to stop your melanin from doing what it's designed to do. So foods like fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, sardines, these are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Now, these omega-3 fatty acids are essential for your brain structure and function. And the brain, as I said, is a place that's very rich in melanin. And if you've got the right levels of these fatty acids and you've got them in the right balance, omega-3 and 6, then you're going to have a very healthy brain and a healthy brain function that also supports memory, and it reduces depression and also protects against cognitive decline. There are many people that have Parkinson's that if they told them the truth about melanin, they'll be able to cure Parkinson's very, very easily. But because people are not trying to empower people with this knowledge, they're keeping it a secret, which is actually damaging to their own. Also, berries. Berries are very, very important foods that feed your melanin. They feed your body. They're very rich in antioxidants. They're superfoods when it comes to your melanin. They contain these anthocyanins. They also help reduce inflammation and protect your arteries and your heart and your brain cells from oxidative stress. That's from free radicals. Free radicals are the things that damage all parts of your body. You're always in battle against free radicals. And once you understand the power of antioxidants and the compounds in foods that contain antioxidant properties, you will realize how quickly and easily you can really take your body from being in a state of disease and disorder into a state of wellness and health. Now, dark leafy greens is another powerful food. I'm going to probably go for about 8 or 9 foods that are really, really powerful for feeding your body, feeding your melanin, feeding your skin, feeding your immune system, and actually feeding your gut and your microbiome. Dark leafy greens are really, really powerful tools in that regard because they contain things like vitamin K, which really helps with clotting of your blood and strengthening your bones. It also helps to keep the calcium levels at the right balance within the body. They contain folate, they contain lutein, and beta-carotene. Now, beta-carotene is one of the vitamins that really helps provide powerful antioxidant capabilities for both the blood, the brain, and the eyes. It also helps to slow down cognitive decline, supports your eyes and your overall brain health. Now, there was a study done by the Glaucoma Research Foundation, and it showed that the consumption of nitrate-rich leafy greens, such as kale and collard greens, it could actually reduce. Very good. Well done. It could actually reduce the risk of open-angle glaucoma by up to 30%. Imagine that. Just consuming leafy greens such as kale and collard greens could reduce your risk of glaucoma by up to 30%. We're seeing many, many people coming forward with glaucoma, macular degeneration, cataracts, and all manner of eye maladies just because they haven't got the right level of foods in their diet. Now, when you look at kale, don't just look at kale on its own. Try and incorporate more of the, oh, you have glaucoma. There you go, Sarita. So that's a great way for you to start treating your glaucoma. And please feel free to put your comments in the chat. I'm trying to multitask here. I'm learning from the women how to multitask and have multiple screens at the same time. But if you have questions as well, please type them in the chat as we're going along. So we are going to have a break in about 20 minutes where we'll stop to take some questions because it's going to be quite a lot of information. And I don't want you to be overwhelmed by too much information, not being able to have the opportunity to absorb it. So carotenoids are contained within the greens. They're very rich sources of folate, lutein, and beta carotene. But one of the ones you want to look at is, oh, they've lost in the chat. Okay, we'll do it in the Q&A. Thank you so much, Jamie. Cavolo kale is a kale that I really, really favor. I know a lot of people know about kale and a lot of benefits of kale, but Cavolo kale is the black kale, it's the dark kale. That kale contains a higher amount of all of the nutrients that are contained in the normal kale. So you know you've got the green kale, but they say the darker the berry or the darker the leaf, the sweeter the juice. But in this instance, it's the more the nutrients and the more the superfoods and the more the powerful compounds are contained within this dark green kale. Soursop is also very good because it has a lot of compounds and phenols in there. But again, we like to use foods that we can actually incorporate and put them into our formulas. And for some reason, they've banned soursop from being incorporated into formulas. So at the end of the second half, I'm going to take you through some of our formulas, how we've used and where we've used these foods and these nutrients and these compounds to actually put together something really special that enables you to have access to them all in one go. Now, number 4, walnuts and seeds, in particular almonds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. These are really powerful superfood carriers because they're rich in healthy fats and also rich in vitamin E, zinc, and magnesium. Now, you're going to keep seeing these words, these vitamins, these minerals, these compounds, these fats coming up over and over again because you're going to realize that these compounds, these vitamins, these minerals, these nutrients are often the powerhouses that are responsible for feeding your immune system, feeding your cells, feeding your DNA, which is enabling them to regenerate themselves and take them out of that state of disease and back into the state of order. Now, walnuts are especially good for the brain due to their high omega-3 content. And these omega-3 and omega-6, when you have them in the right balance, they really, really feed the brain. They're really, really powerful for helping bring down inflammation. They support your eyes, your visual health. They also support your mental health. Also, pumpkins are great for prostate and men's health. Prostate, when you have prostate issues, if you don't have pumpkin seed or high levels of potassium, you're going to struggle. If you don't have high levels of zinc, which we'll tell you about as we're going on further, you're also going to struggle. But pumpkin seeds are a great form, a great source of potassium. They're a great source of zinc, and they're a great source of powerful nutrients that your body will need and utilize to very great effect in terms of the healing cycle. Now, when it comes to taking seeds, I know people tend to use seeds and they'll have the same seeds over and over again, but there's a way that you can really benefit from using seeds that you'll get maximum benefit, and it's through doing a thing called seed cycling. Now, seed cycling is what you use to balance your hormones. And how you do it, you start with 1 tablespoon of each of the ground flax seeds, for example. You can add some Brazil, I saw Brazil nuts come up. Yeah, Brazil nuts are very good as well, and they're also very rich for a good source of selenium. You can have pumpkin seeds, you can add flax seeds, which are very rich in estrogen fighting properties, or what they call phytoestrogens, which help to balance estrogen and reduce inflammation. They're also good for regulating your omega-3 levels. Then the zinc in pumpkin seed can support progesterone release. So you want to make sure you get a good balance between your estrogen and your progesterone, so you don't end up in a situation where you have estrogen dominance. Now, cashew nuts, you want to try and stay away from cashew nuts because oftentimes they soak them in a lot of pesticides, and they also have a lot of fungus. They get a lot of fungal breakouts on cashew nuts. So if you notice a lot of these nuts, a lot of them are old, they've got that kind of furry or hairy skin on them. So oftentimes that's as a result of some of the fungus that's growing spores. And when they get into your body, they'll cause a lot of problems for your gut and your microbiome. So once you've gone through that first phase, then you want to change to a tablespoon of having sesame seeds and sunflower seeds, because sesame seeds are very rich in zinc and selenium, which is very good for your thyroid, while sunflower seeds also help support estrogen elimination. We're going to talk a little bit more about estrogen elimination as we go along, because that's very important to make sure you don't have too much of one type of hormone hanging around in your body for much longer than it should be there. Now, avocados. Avocados are high in healthy monounsaturated fats. They're also rich in vitamin C, Now you can see some of the vitamin content. Why are avocados so good? People say avocados are good because they're healthy fats. Why are they healthy fats? What is good about them? Number one, they're rich in vitamin C. They're also rich in vitamin E, which is another very, very powerful antioxidant. Also rich in vitamin K and B6. Here you go, folate again. They also contain some essential minerals such as potassium. Potassium is like an electrolyte, as is magnesium, and it's also rich in copper. Now, a lot of foods don't contain copper, and copper is very, very powerful and potent for the development and the upregulation of melanin. So when you have the right levels of copper in your food, in your diet, it really helps you to supercharge your melanin, and your melanin is going to take care of everything else. Now, avocados help to improve blood flow to the brain. They also support your mood and help to reduce your blood pressure. The last slide, unfortunately, I can't go back to sorry. You've got to just really stay on top and pay attention. I'm trying to whiz through because we've got a lot to get through. So unfortunately, I can't go back to the previous slide. But I'm sure when Brother Andrew shares the playback, you can see all of the slides and the information that was caught in there. But we are going to go for a lot. And we're going to have a break soon, very shortly, so you can ask some of the questions. So if you have got a question, type it up so you don't forget it, and then maybe copy and paste it again when we go to the quick session for Q&A. Now, avocados also contain antioxidants as well as carotenoids. They are rich in lutein and zeaxanthin. These help to combat the oxidative stress that affects eyes and age-related macular degeneration and cataracts. So when you have the right levels of carotenoids, you reduce your risk greatly. And soaking nuts is always going to be a good thing. It's always going to be helpful to soak the nuts because you're going to have a lot of compounds that are in the nuts that you don't really want to be ingesting. So soaking is always going to be helpful to reduce the level of the burden that it will place if you just ingest them without soaking them. But when you have the right levels of lutein and the carotenoids, this is going to really help your eyes to reduce the risk of developing cataracts. Now, we see a lot of people that are coming in with cataracts, with glaucoma, with macular degeneration, and sometimes the reason is simple as that they've had their vitamin A or their carotenoids has been low for a long time. So just increasing your vitamin A will have a significant impact on your body's ability to regenerate the eyes, regenerate the vision, and regenerate the optical nerves. Avocados are also rich in vitamin E, which support your skin health. So that's why they're called beauty foods. And vitamin K, which supports your bone health and also can improve your bone density and prevents fractures. What about turmeric and ginger? Now, these two powerhouses, I had to put them together because I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to do these two super spices enough justice by doing them separately. And because of time, I could speak about ginger and the benefits of turmeric all evening long. But because of time, I'm going to just go through the main key elements of both of them so that we can get on to the next stage, which is where we show you how we actually utilize them. Now, both of them belong to what we call the Zingiberaceae family, which are in their very rich, their roots, so their rhizomes. They're rich in vitamin C, reason why they're so good, because they have very powerful antioxidants. They're also rich in iron, also B6, and calcium. Now, ginger and turmeric is also very rich in to joint pain. Oh, don't forget that question. I'm gonna really look forward to answering that. I'll give it the pathway to getting rid of joint pain very easily. But magnesium is very good for joints because it really helps to relax the muscles. It's a very, very powerful mineral that is used in the formation of healthy blood vessels. And it's also responsible for over 300 different metabolic processes. Perimenopause as well is very good for perimenopause, which I'll explain to you why in a little while. Both of them are great vasodilators, which means they help to increase the blood flow by opening up the blood vessels and allowing more blood to get to where they're needed, in particular to your muscles and your joints. So if you're having bone pain, just having a good source of magnesium, ideally from your diet, is great. If you can't get it from your diet, then by all means, supplement it. The most important thing is to get them into your body because your body, once it receives it, it will know what to do with it. So magnesium also helps to aid digestion and soothing sore joints. Now, there have been quite a few studies done on turmeric and inflammation because turmeric is very, very powerful for reducing pain in the joints and the bones. A 2017 study on turmeric and inflammation found that that spice reduces muscle soreness and increases recovery time and also helps arthritis. Research on ginger also showed the same thing. It showed that it was a very good alternative treatment for inflammatory diseases such as arthritis, psoriasis, lupus, and Crohn's disease. Now, these are high-level inflammatory conditions that turmeric has been able to have a very positive and powerful impact on. And when they incorporated the ginger, because of gingerol inside the ginger, it was able to really do a lot of repair work in the stomach and in the gut, the digestive system. Another study in 2023 showed that both contain biological properties that protect against that word again, oxidative stress, and may reduce the likelihood of cancer and neurodegenerative diseases, because neurodegenerative diseases are caused when you have a high level of these free radicals freely flowing around in the body, just constantly damaging the tissues, damaging the cells, and ultimately damaging the vital organs. Another study showed the impact of these two spices on hair regrowth. They combined curcumin with zinc and microneedling, and they found promising results that reversed the effects of dihydrotestosterone, which is a hormone that causes hair loss, and actually promoted hair growth. So there's a lot of powerful elements and compounds that are contained within turmeric and ginger that when you combine them together, you will see some amazing results. Then let's look at some whole grains. You got grains like rolled oats, things like brown rice, quinoa is a pseudo grain, but whole wheat as well. But whole wheat is not so much nowadays, because in the whole wheat before they had a lot more of the nutritional properties in there, but they've processed a lot of it out now. So your wheat is very, very highly processed. So it doesn't really have the vitamins and the minerals that it used to have. But it's still very high fiber foods that have contained a lot of weight management compounds and properties, which will help you to feel fuller for longer, which will help you to lead to a reduced calorie intake. Because if you feel full, you don't have to keep eating. Now, these whole wheats and grains are also rich in B vitamins, such as thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and folate. Now, thiamine, we see that very often. It's vitamin B1 with people that have diabetes. Most of the diabetics we see are always low in vitamin B1 or thiamine. And if you're a person that has tingling in your hands or feet, or pins and needles that you have on a regular basis, it's a high possibility that you'll be low or deficient in thiamine or vitamin B1. We always see it with diabetics. That's why they always end up having a neuropathy and sometimes having their feet amputated, just because they haven't had thiamine, because thiamine really helps the body to break down carbohydrates. Niacin is also very good, and additionally vitamin E and selenium. They're rich in minerals such as iron, magnesium, and zinc. So you can see these foods are not just food because they're good, but they're good because of what they contain, because of the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients that they have. It helps you to lower your cholesterol and your blood pressure. You're talking about using statins or using medication. B1, yes, B1 is the vitamin that really helps to do all of those things I mentioned earlier. But you want to lower your cholesterol, you want to start eating more grains, more whole food. If you want to lower your risk of type 2 diabetes, incorporate a diet that's more rich in fiber, which helps to regulate your blood sugar levels and reduce the risk of you developing type 2 diabetes if you haven't already got it. Now, green tea. You heard the gentleman, the doctor earlier on, talking about green tea and the effects it has on cancer. One of the reasons why green tea is so powerful is because it has so many powerful antioxidants, in particular catechins. It also has theanine. Now, this promotes calm and alertness and helps to keep the immune system in a state of calm, so that way it can go about doing what it needs to do without being affected by the cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone that really puts the body in a state of heightened alert, which is not going to be very good for producing healing and wellness, because it's going to be now producing more inflammatory chemicals because of the levels of stress that you've maintained while being in that state. So green tea is very good for heart health. It's also helps with lowering cholesterol. It's great for weight management, because some studies have suggested that it can help to boost your metabolism by speeding it up and helping you to promote your fat burning, which could ultimately help in weight loss. It's great for brain function, because the antioxidants that they have may improve your brain function and reduce your risk of cognitive decline. It's great for your skin as well, because it protects against damage from UV rays. It's great for blood sugar control as well. And it reduces the risk of certain cancers. There's a lot of suggestions that have shown, or a lot of studies that have suggested that green tea could reduce the risk of types of cancer. Although more research is needed, the results have been quite promising. So green tea is another fabulous superfood that really helps. And it's a very, very good component for boosting your melanin as well. Now, the melanin superfood is dark chocolate. I know a lot of people like chocolate, but they prefer the milky version. But the one that has all of the nutritional properties is the darker flavor, which is rich in.
Shot on Babylon, buck foot.
Oh, brother Andrew, listen, I couldn't believe when you said to me you wanted me to come and speak about food. I was like, are you serious? I have to even calm myself down and try and hold back the passion, because this is my area. This is what we do morning, noon, and night. We live and breathe, using food as medicine. And just you saying you wanted to come and do this, and I said, no, this is God. This is a godsend, because he really wants to empower his people.
But Dr. Juice, one thing I love about you, brother, because many people, when they come to speak about food, 99% of their lectures about what we can't eat. It's always don't. But what I love about you, and that's the reason why I wanted you specifically, because I need someone who could teach us what to eat. And that's what you're doing perfectly, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is what we get asked on a daily basis. You're absolutely right. What do we eat? What should we eat? Because you're right. People always get, frustrated with being told what they can't eat because they sometimes have an emotional attachment to food and they love that food and they've been told that this is good for them. But sometimes you have to have a wider variety of food. You have to have a wider variety of nutrients and a wider variety of diet and intake in order for you to get the maximum benefit for your body. And one of the good reasons, or the good things about, well, the many good things about dark chocolate is that it contains a compound called phenylethylamine. It is a powerful, powerful neurotransmitter that really helps to supercharge your melanin because it really turbocharges the communication between the neurotransmitters or the cells within the brain. It also contains theobromine and anandamide, also tryptophan. These are really powerful flavonoids and amino acids that really help to activate your serotonin levels. And serotonin is responsible for upregulating or synthesizing your melatonin, which helps you to have a much deeper and restful sleep. So just eating dark chocolate on a regular basis is going to bring a lot of compounds into your body that are going to help to boost your brain function and your brain communication systems, but also it's going to help you to feel relaxed. Why is it going to help you feel relaxed? Because it contains magnesium. It also contains iron. It also contains potassium. These are important for energy production, but also for producing healthy nerve cells and bone health. If you're a person that has restless leg syndrome, for example, or you have the tingling in your hands or feet, or you have pins and needles that are constantly going up and down in your arms or in your legs, sometimes it's because you're lacking the right amount of electrolytes. Now, these electrolytes are things like your magnesium, your potassium, your calcium, your phosphorus. And you get these in foods like coconut water. Coconut water is fantastic. I've had so many patients who have been struggling with what they call neuropathy or diabetic neuropathy, where they've got problems with their nervous system, and they're having that pain in the feet or feet burning sensation in the feet, especially those that have been jabbed. And sometimes it's just as simple as providing your body with the right tools, such as the electrolytes. And when we've told them have or incorporate some coconut water and maybe increase or incorporate an increase in your celery intake. You can actually mix them together, coconut water and celery juice, along with some lemon or a bit of lime. You can add a bit of honey if you want to, but just those alone is going to bring you so much magnesium, so much potassium, so much calcium. Your body's going to be overloaded, which is actually going to start to repair all of those damaged nerve endings or those nerve cells that have been crying out for these nutrients, because that's what they require in order for them to fix and repair themselves. And it's also going to help you to produce better energy because now you've got a better level of signaling traveling from the brain. Fresh coconuts, which is fine, either one, whichever you can get your hands on. Coconuts are coconuts, as long as you've got the properties that are within them, because coconuts are they're lifelong. So if you get the coconuts with the fresh water, that's great. But even if you get the shop bought one, it's fine, because the most important thing is getting the elements and nutrients into your body. Cacao also helps to advance your mood. It really can stimulate the release of endorphins, such as dopamine, the happy hormone, which is a natural mood booster and also contributes to feelings of well-being. If you feel well, it's only a natural progression that your body will actually start to become well. And cacao is also a good source of prebiotic fiber, which can promote the growth of beneficial bacteria or gut bacteria, which helps contribute to a healthy digestive system and to a healthy microbiome. Now, there's been some studies that have suggested cacao can improve your mood and potentially alleviate symptoms of depression and anxiety due to the theobromine and the phenylethylamine content. Now, we know that depression is often caused by having high levels of unforgiveness. And when you have the unforgiveness, you have that reliving, or you keep rehashing that offense that somebody committed against you maybe months, weeks, or even years ago, and you haven't been able to move on past that stage or past that mode. That situation then becomes a heavier and heavier burden. The more you keep thinking about it, the more you keep rehashing it, the more you keep going over it. And that's what's going to lead you into that state of depression. So the quickest way to alleviate depression is, guess what? Forgiveness. Release them and start to eat some chocolate, some dark chocolate. Okay, so we've done green tea, we've done cacao.
Sorry, King.
Go ahead.
So what you're saying is that your spiritual state is just as important as the food that you're eating at the same time.
155%. 155%. Your spiritual state, your mental state, they call it psychosomatics. The way you are mentally is going to have a direct correlation on the way you are physically. There have been so many studies that have been done on people that have brought sickness on just on the basis of their speech. The Bible says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. Those who love it will eat the fruit thereof. So people who know how to use words to create their reality are going to always have a much better reality than those who use words to destroy their reality. And I'll give you a classic case in point. We ask somebody, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm not bad, not too bad. Really? You're not too bad. So I ask you, are you 3 bad, 4 bad, or are you 5 bad? Why would you mention that you're bad and then you have to add numbers or gradings to how bad you are? So just by you pronouncing how bad you are when you're trying to describe how good you are, you're telling your body that it's natural for you to be in a state of, or a bad state of health or a bad state of well-being. I always challenge people, why do you say I'm not too bad? Why are you trying to have a pity party? Speak what you want to see. How are you doing? I'm well, I'm great, I'm blessed, I'm phenomenal, I'm fantastic, because your body will hear that. And as you start to keep speaking it into your body, guess what? Your body's going to start making you feel fantastic. Your body's going to start making you feel well. Your body's going to start to produce what you are speaking into it. We call it self-coaching, self-talking. So there's been so many studies that have been done. And the lady did a study, a psychosomatic study on a couple of patients who one said she had problems with her arms. And all the medical tests couldn't find what was wrong with her or why she was having this problem with her arm. Her arm just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. They did all the tests on the nerves. They did all the tests on the blood. They did all the tests on the muscles, muscle testing. Every type of test couldn't come up with any reason why the arm wouldn't work. So she went to see the psychoanalyst, and the psychoanalyst was just going through conversations with her, and she heard her keep repeating, oh, I'll give my right arm for this. I'll give my right arm for that. So guess what? The body was hearing that she didn't want the right arm. So the right arm stopped working. So you can speak what you want to see with your right arm. If you want your arm to be working well, just keep speaking that. If you know my, I like to use myself as an example, but people probably think I'm 35 plus change. I'm nearly double that. But I speak what I want to see. I speak health, I speak wellness, I speak vitality into my life on a daily basis. And that's what I manifest. That's what I produce. So you've got to kind of be an example of what you want to see. So I'm always trying to live that reality, and then I'll speak it and preach it, but I'll make sure I walk it as well as me talking it. So let's look at some bonus foods that we can talk about today, especially I've been speaking about the melanin side of things. Let's look at some African traditional additions or some African traditional foods. Jamie, stop it. So somebody talked earlier about moringa. Yes, we know moringa is really, really powerful. Moringa leaves are packed full of vitamins, especially vitamin A, a very powerful antioxidant, as we said. It's very rich in the carotenoids that helps with the eyes, your skin, your blood, your cells. It's also rich in vitamin C and vitamin E. Then it's rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, iron, along with brain-boosting nutrients that help to really protect the cells from damage. It lowers your blood pressure and reduces fat. Moringa is a powerful, powerful, powerful superfood. It's also good for reducing cholesterol and absorption of plaque from your arteries because of the levels of vitamin A, the levels of antioxidants, the levels of potassium that regulate the muscles and regulate the flow of your food through your digestive system. It supports the liver and your kidney function. And then you've got calcium that supports your bone strength and the density. So if you're going through menopause and you're lacking, you're losing bones, or you're having a high turnover of bones, this is a vitamin or mineral that you need to have on a regular basis because it contains all of the foods that you need. It contains all of the nutrients that you need to support your bone health, support your brain health, and support your digestive health, because it's high in fiber as well for digestive regularity. If you take too much moringa, you're going to end up going to the toilet and you may be in there for a little bit longer than you expect. So moringa is a very, very powerful food. Then you've got things like tiger nuts. A lot of people don't know about tiger nuts because they're always trying to eat cashew nuts and peanuts and monkey nuts. The nut you want to eat that has the highest level of nutrients is tiger nuts. Tiger nuts are powerful. They're the best food for snacking that you could possibly get out there. They're a perfect balance of carbs. They're rich in the right kind of fats. They're high in protein. They're high in fiber. They're also rich in the essential minerals. You've got your magnesium, your calcium, your potassium, your phosphorus, all of your electrolytes and your antioxidants. It's a melanin superfood that nobody knows about. Then you got plantain, especially the green plantain. Green plantains are wonderful foods because they're very rich in B vitamins, which also support your nerve and your brain function. And they're a great source of potassium, which is good for your electrolytes, good for your nerves, it's good for your stomach, it's also good for your heart, good for your cardiovascular system. Tiger nuts, oh my goodness. Tiger nuts are not the easiest foods to find, but when you do find them, my goodness, you'll be so happy that you did. You will not want to eat any other nut. But you have to be careful with tiger nuts because they do contain a little bit of oxalates. Plantain, yeah, that's the Caribbean version. But yes, when you have the tiger nuts, be careful that you don't overeat them because you can overindulge on them. But the plantain is very, very good. I'll use your term. Plantain is very high in B vitamins, and it also supports your brain function, and it's a great source of potassium and another great source of vitamin K. The yellow is sweeter, it tastes nicer, but it has less vitamins, and they are better eaten raw. Eat your green plantain. You can boil it or eat it raw, but don't fry it. Green is much better because it carries a lot of nutrients and it even has a little bit of iron in there as well. So eat them raw because you can have it with such nice pepper sauces that you can make using the sun-dried tomatoes and the sun-dried peppers, some capsicum. You can just make so many foods that will go very, very nicely and complement that plantain, raw plantain. Okay. See the chat very busy. People love food. What about blended? Yeah, blend the green plantain. Absolutely. Oh my goodness, blend it. Because I know people use that for fufu. They have the plantain flour. They make the fufu with that. Very, very nutritious, very, very helpful, and very, very filling. So let's look at some hormone foods that will help to balance your hormones. There's some foods that you can use to balance your hormones if you're in that perimenopause state. Because some people ask about perimenopause and menopause and what foods you can use to impact that. So I'm going to quickly whiz through some of the top foods that you can use for balancing hormones. I know a lot of people haven't never heard of tiger nuts. A lot of people haven't. So that's why we wanted to give you foods, as Brother Andrew said, that people don't tell you. They always tell you what you shouldn't eat, but nobody's telling you what you should eat. And there's so many good foods that you can eat and that you should be eating that are absolutely crucial and beneficial for your body. So number one food, let's look at flax seeds. We talked about flax seeds and seed cycling earlier. Why are flax seeds so good? Everyone knows about flax seeds and how great they are, but why are they so great? Well, as we mentioned earlier, they have what we call plant estrogens that help to balance your estrogen levels. They're also high in omega-3, which is those healthy fatty acids that are very good for your blood cells and for moving toxins out of your liver. They help reduce your PMS, your menopause symptoms, and support menstrual regularity if you're a woman who is going through their cycles. It also contains magnesium, which is great for your nerves and your muscle function. It's blood sugar control and blood pressure regulation because magnesium, as I said, it controls over 300 different metabolic functions within the body. It's rich in phosphorus, which is good for bone formation and energy. And then it's also got copper. These little seeds are containing so many different nutrients. This is how the power of nature. One little tiny seed has so many nutrients packed inside it that all you need to do is take it and soak it and eat it on a regular basis. And you have all these nutrients, all this goodness going into your body and going into your cells. Copper is great for the immunity. It's fantastic for your heart. It really supports your brain. It gives you good energy production. And it also helps to give you beautiful skin and hair. If you have premature gray hair or white hair, sometimes it's because you're lacking copper. If you have a diet rich in copper and you're already going through the change where your hair is starting to go white, start to increase or incorporate more copper-rich foods into your diet, and you'll be surprised how your white hair starts to go brown or black. Can you see a gray hair? No, not I don't have them, but I have my good levels of copper to make sure I maintain. Manganese, bones, great for your metabolism and for an antioxidant that helps to keep those free radicals at bay. Zinc is another immunity booster, great for your gut and your cells. If you're trying to repair your gut and you're not good, I'll tell you about that, T, or you're asking about brain fog. I've got so many things to help with brain fog. But if you're not using zinc and you're trying to repair your gut, it's not going to happen because zinc is really powerful at binding to toxins that damage the stomach lining and actually damage your gut permeability, the gut lining. So calcium is great for bone health as well, and potassium helps to regulate your blood pressure and your fluid balance, as well as iron, which carries hemoglobin and oxygen in the blood. And then lastly, you've got your vitamin, your B1, which is your energy metabolizer that helps to break down the carbs to produce what you need to fuel your day-to-day activities. Number two is cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli is a great cruciferous vegetable. Kale, Cavolo kale, we said about the black kale. The best food for fibroids, Sister Aisha, I've got a special surprise for you coming towards the end. Remember to repost that question. Broccoli, kale, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. We've got a very, very powerful superfood formula that obliterates fibroids. So just you stick around and we'll come to that. It contains a thing called DIM or DIM, which is dindolomethane. Yes, it can produce the gas, the methane gas that kind of gives you that gassy feeling, which is not good when you have too much of it. But it also supports estrogen detox in the liver. Now, a lot of people aren't aware that a lot of your hormones are actually produced in your liver. So if you're a woman that's having hormone imbalances, you need to really be targeting your liver and make sure your liver is well supported with the right nutrients and the right chemicals and compounds that it needs to really optimize its daily function, because a lot of your hormones, and especially the overproduction of your hormones, are regulated by your liver. So broccoli and kale can also influence the hormone levels through these specific compounds. It has a thing called I3C or indole 3-carbinol, along with dindolomethane, which support estrogen metabolism, and they reduce your risk of hormone-related cancers such as breast cancer, ovarian cancer. These can be easily mitigated by making sure you have the right levels of these cruciferous vegetables added into your diet. It also contains things called goitrogens, which can interfere with your thyroid hormone production, but it's not really a major problem as long as you have the right levels of selenium and you have the right levels of iodine. If you have an iodine deficiency and you have goitrogens coming into your body, then your thyroid is going to go into overdrive. So then you will have problems that you don't want to be dealing with. So make sure you don't consume your cruciferous vegetables. It's very hard to consume them because most people only have them maybe on a Sunday with their Sunday roast, but try and incorporate a lot more of them and make sure you got your iodine-rich foods as well to make sure you keep your thyroid and your iodine levels well balanced. Avocados, we mentioned avocados earlier, but these are also great foods. And watercress. Watercress is fantastic. We mentioned it earlier. Avocados are great for helping to balance hormones because they're rich in healthy fats. They're also rich in potassium, and they're also rich in fiber. They help produce hormones like estrogen and progesterone, as well as testosterone. Yep, women need testosterone as well. You need some too to keep the balance of hormones. Avocados are also rich in healthy fats, including monounsaturated fats, which are crucial building blocks for hormone production and function. So make sure you get your good levels of estrogen or your good levels of estrogen balancing foods, such as avocados, which will help to reduce the levels of buildup of estrogen in your blood. They're also great for regulating your stress regulation or managing your stress hormone production, also fertility and your gut health as well. Now, berries. Berries are melanin superfood, as we said earlier, but they're also great power banks when it comes to balancing hormones, especially your blueberries, your strawberries, and your raspberries. Red raspberries, we use that as a very powerful tool in our superfood fibroid obliterator. Red raspberry leaf is very high in antioxidants, which contains a lot of phytoestrogens, which helps to reduce inflammation. And inflammation is another major cause of hormonal imbalances, which can also influence high estrogen levels. But lignans, which mimic estrogen, will also help to bring them out and bring the levels right back down. So you can only get that kind of activity when you've got the right levels of berries, in particular the blackberries, strawberries, and the raspberries. Now, blackberries are high in phytoestrogens, which impact your estrogen levels, as we said, but blueberries also reduce your inflammation, which helps support your hormone balance. Strawberries are rich in vitamin C and phytoestrogens, which support your progesterone regulation and your estrogen activity. Why are these foods great and easy to access? Because somebody mentioned earlier, you can have them as a smoothie. You can put them in your daily smoothie. Even if you want to get the frozen ones, if you're short on time, get the frozen ones, get a cup, you can make them up in pre-bags or pre-packed bags where you put a bit of strawberries, a bit of blackberries, a bit of raspberries, a bit of blueberries. You can have a bit of pineapple in there for your bromelain as well, for some enzymes. Get some greens, some cauliflower, or get some kale, or some carbolo kale. Mix that into your bags, and every morning you chuck them into your blender, put some coconut water or some fresh orange juice, and blend it up. And you can add your powders, your superfoods, and you've got your real power pack smoothie for the day that's going to give your body all of the nutrients, all of the antioxidants, all of the compounds it needs to feed the immune system and keep your body on the up, up, and up. Then we've got pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are high in zinc. Now, these are really powerful superfoods when it comes to zinc, which boost your progesterone and help to support your thyroid function. You can't support your thyroid without having the right levels of zinc, as well as the right levels of selenium. These really help to get your thyroid well nourished so it can function and not overproduce any of the hormones that it's responsible for. Zinc is crucial for hormone production as well as balancing your hormones, also for testosterone production in men. essential fatty acids are building blocks. If you don't have essential fatty acids, you can't build your body. So when people are always talking about alkaline, 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 be careful, because your body is actually predominantly acid. It needs acids as the building blocks that they use to form and build your tissues and your cells and your organs. So don't get too carried away with having too much alkaline food or alkaline water, because people talk about alkalineness. Drink alkaline water in the morning, by all means, but don't make it be the majority of what you drink all day, because your stomach is predominantly acid and the body has to have an acidic environment in order for it to break down the foods and to go through that digestive process and separate the vitamins, the nutrients, the minerals, the micronutrients from the nutrients to enable your body to absorb what it needs to take in. If the stomach is too alkaline, your body is not going to break down your food and your immune system is going to go into a downward spiral. So make sure you have a balance between your acid and your alkaline foods. Okay, pumpkin seeds also help improve sleep. Why? Because they help produce things like melatonin. Melatonin is a really powerful hormone that helps to regulate your sleep. It's also good for relaxation and keeping you out of that stress level where your hormones start to kick in to your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands start to chuck your cortisol levels up, which starts to trigger the cytokine storm, where you start to lose a lot of inflammation markers that puts your body into a state of disorder. And if you have overactive bladder, there's been a study that showed that pumpkin seed oil can actually help improve symptoms of overactive bladder by reducing the levels of inflammation in your urinary tract. Now, don't think you can just go and get some pumpkin seed if you've got overactive bladder. One of the key causes or key reasons for having overactive bladder is actually having a lack of water. So the more water you drink is what's going to really strengthen your bladder, especially if you're a person that wakes up 3, 4, 5 times a night. The reason you're waking up in the night is not because you're drinking late at night. It's actually because you've not drank enough during the day. So your muscles have gone through what they call atrophy, where the muscles are starting to break down because they become weak, they haven't had any resistance. So by you taking in more water, maybe 2, 3, or 4 times in your water you normally take on a daily basis, you actually take your bladder muscles to the gym, and it starts to have some resistance because you've got the 2 sphincters, the upper sphincter and the lower sphincter. These are the muscles that open and close to let your bladder open and close. Once those muscles are gone through that process of having resistance through the water that you've ingested during the day, you'll find that the muscles are starting to grow and you've increased their capacity to hold water. So when you've taken like 4 or 5 times your normal level of water intake during the day, you'll find that at nighttime, you'll be shocked and amazed that you're waking up less, if not at all, from drinking more water during the day. So that's the quickest way to resolve your problem of waking up in the night. They call it nocturnal urination. Yes, wow, a lot of people are shocked at that. We've done it with thousands of clients who have overactive bladder or nocturnal urination, where they're always going to the toilet in the night. We get them on our program called the HERN protocol, which is HERN. H is for hydration. We really get them to increase their hydration levels. They drink 5 times their normal levels of water intake. We get them on E, which is E for elimination. We open up all the pathways, the detoxification pathways, to really get rid of all the waste that's causing a lot of buildup of toxins in the body. We get them sleeping. R is for rest. We've got to get you sleeping, because if you're not sleeping, you're not healing. So anything that interferes with your body's ability to sleep or to rest is going to interfere with your body's natural healing mechanisms and healing cycles. So we have to first eliminate that waking up in the night to get them to have a deep and restful sleep. And then N is the last part of the HERN protocol, which stands for nutrition, which is what we're talking about here now. Make sure they have the right levels of foods, the right levels of nutrients that will enable that environment internally that is conducive to accelerated healing from within. How much water do you recommend drinking during the day? I get asked that question every single time I go on any platform. We always say the levels of water you drink should always be a reflection of the levels of water that you use. So if you're a person that sits at a computer, you have no friends on Facebook, no friends on TikTok, no friends on Instagram, you don't talk to anybody, you'll just about get by with 2 liters of water a day. If you're a person, on the other hand, who's quite busy, quite active, you're talking to a lot of people, you're on the phones all day, your saliva alone will consume that 2 liters. So you need to be going up into the echelons of maybe 3 liters. If you're a person that talks all day, teaches people, etc., does training, goes to a lot of meetings, and then after that you go to the gym, you're going to add another liter. So you're looking at about 4 liters. If you spend in the gym, then after the gym, you're going to the sauna to have a steam, you're going to sweat in the steam, you're going into 5 liters. It might sound like a lot, but you're not going to drink it all at the same time. You'll be sipping it throughout the day, but you're making sure as you're using the water, you're replenishing it. So your water intake should always be a reflection of your water usage. Don't follow any of that nonsense on the internet that tells you, oh, 5 glasses of water if you're a woman and 8 glasses if you're a man. Even women of the same age could be completely different in their size and their body structure, so their water intake is going to be different. So if you're a 6'4" woman and you're 5'2", you're not going to have the same requirement for water. So there's a lot of misinformation that's out there that's confusing people and getting people to take the wrong decisions and still end up with having problems that could easily be prevented by having the right knowledge and information. Okay, number 6, sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are very, very powerful foods because they're very rich in beta carotene, and they're also rich in fiber, which helps to regulate your blood sugar levels and your hormone production, as well as reducing inflammation. The pigmentation in the sweet potatoes also contains beta carotene, or vitamin A, which is crucial for the production of various hormones, including progesterone. Also, it supports your thyroid function, which plays a significant role in your hormone regulation. Fiber helps regulate your blood sugar levels, which prevents you from having spikes and crashes that can disrupt your hormone balance. And also, fiber can support healthy digestion and the elimination of excess hormones such as estrogen, which is really helpful when you're going through the perimenopause or the menopause. You don't want to have too much estrogen in your body. You want to be eliminating it through the best ways you can, such as supporting the liver and supporting the diet and the digestive system, so you can prevent yourself from having fluctuations in your estrogen levels, which can cause symptoms like hot flashes. So your hot flashes are very, very preventable and very, very easy to eliminate once you have the right knowledge and the right tools. It's also rich in antioxidants, which help to reduce inflammation or chronic inflammation, which can interfere with your hormone production and your signaling. So inflammation supports, reduced inflammation will support a much more balanced hormonal environment. And then sweet potato is also very rich in phytoestrogens, which help to regulate your estrogen levels and provide a reduction in your hormone fluctuations, especially during menopause and the perimenopause. Number 7, fermented foods. Now, these foods are fantastic foods because they're really, really good for helping support your microbiome or your digestive flora. They help to improve the hormone clearance, which is getting rid of the excessive hormones that you don't need, which will also help to reduce your bloating and your mood swings. So these fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, and plain yogurt, they're very, very helpful foods that you can introduce to help to produce healthy bacteria or beneficial bacteria to your gut. They also help with your estrogen metabolism. When you have a good, healthy microbiome, which has the right levels of fermented foods, it can improve your estrogen metabolism, which is the body's ability to eliminate those excess hormones that you don't need. And it also helps with the regulation of your serotonin and dopamine and the transmission or the production of those neurotransmitters, which essentially is produced in the gut. A lot of people don't know that a lot of your hormones, and especially your brain hormones, because you've got a second brain in the gut, it's called the enteric nervous system. You've got the central nervous system in the head, and you have the enteric nervous system in the gut. So a lot of your mood swings and your Greek yogurt's okay, but don't have too much of it. A lot of your moods and stuff and your signals that are regulated or which seem to originate from the brain, they're actually produced in the gut. So make sure, that's why sometimes people say they have a gut feeling, because you actually have got a brain that's in your gut that's actually helping you making your decisions. Then you've got the leafy greens, especially the dark leafy greens, especially that watercress. We mentioned watercress earlier, and Swiss chard and arugula. These are high in magnesium. These are the building blocks of your health. These vitamins, these minerals, these compounds, these amino acids, this is what makes your body tick. This is what makes your body grow. This is what makes your body regenerate itself. So when you're eating foods, don't just go and say, oh, I'm eating this food, go, hey, this is good. Understand why it's good. What is it about that food that is actually feeding your body? So if you can't get the food, at the worst case, you can actually get the active ingredient or the actual mineral or the vitamin that your body's really craving for from that food. Watercress and leafy greens, they're rich in magnesium, which helps your adrenal health. Magnesium also supports and helps to regulate your cortisol levels, which is why people use it when they're having trouble sleeping. If you have the right levels of magnesium, it's going to help to bring down your stress response and your cortisol levels in your adrenals, which will allow you to get into that relaxed state a lot easier, because you know cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone. It helps with PMS symptom relief because it's rich in iron, it's rich in magnesium, it's also rich in calcium, which helps to reduce irritability, boost your energy, and build your bone strength, which are all beneficial during the menstrual cycle. Yes, arugula is a fantastic food. I'm glad some of you know about it. That's great. It's rich in antioxidants and vitamins, especially vitamin B, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. And it's also rich in fiber, folate, and these vitamins that really help with your DNA regulation, because these vitamins are really powerful in forming your cells. As I said, your genes rely on having a good supply or a healthy supply of these foods, but more importantly, the active ingredient in these foods, which is the vitamins, the minerals, and the compounds. These are really, really key to ensuring that your body has exactly or has access to exactly the tools that it needs. And then the leafy greens are also great for your cardiovascular health because they help to provide nutrients that support proper circulation, blood circulation in particular, for your cardiovascular system, your blood vessel health, and your blood pressure regulation. So make sure you get the right amount of leafy greens. If you want to add some of that to your smoothie, you've got your berries, you've got your red berries, your green, your blueberries. Make sure you got some kale, some arugula, and some leafy greens to really help that situation go along. Okay, now some bonus tips for you from the traditional and African inspired options, because we always have to go back there since we're talking about melanin. We talked about moringa. Moringa is a great, great, great superfood, very rich in iron, magnesium, and antioxidants to support adrenal and reproductive health. If you can take a picture of this slide, it'd be good for you because you want to go away and think, well, what did I learn from today? What can I go away and start to implement? Even if you'd had this page alone, just as a point of reference, you can say, right, I need to get some more tiger nuts. I need to get some more moringa. I need to get some more okra. Tiger nuts, we mentioned, are a great source of vitamin E because a lot of people are lacking vitamin E, which is a very powerful antioxidant that helps support the brain and keeps the brain health. A lot of people are seeing now are having brain damage or having neural cells that are dying. So they're going through the early stages of Alzheimer's. People as young as 16, people as young as 18, they're coming in with brain damage because they haven't got the levels of antioxidants that their body needs. So therefore, the free radicals are roaming free and they're reaping havoc within the body. Okra also supports digestion and blood sugar and helps with insulin balance, along with fonio or millet. Fonio is a very good food. Everyone talks about quinoa, but nobody talks about fonio. Fonio is a fantastic food. It's almost, in fact, it's better when it comes to amino acid and protein content than actually quinoa. And it's actually easier to make. It takes 5 minutes. You put hot water in it, and that's it. You boil it, stir it for about 5 minutes, and voila, you have a meal that's much more healthier than rice. It has all the amino acids that you need. It's got the full 9 amino acids, plus it's got all your protein, plus it's got all your fiber, and you don't feel very bloated after you've eaten it. So these are 4 good traditional African foods that you can incorporate into your diet just to start to have some more nutrients going in and some more vitamins and some more healthy compounds that your body has been lacking. So lastly, we've got some foods to limit, because everyone talks about the foods you don't want to have. We've got to do a bit of that today just to make sure we have a little bit of balance. Let's get some foods that you need to avoid or reduce at the most. Have them as little as possible. But I'm still doing my live chat, so I'm not going to speak to you just at the moment. But you want to make sure you keep down the refined sugars, keep those to a minimum, keep your alcohol levels to a low, if not at all, eliminate it completely, especially if you're going through hormonal imbalances. Keep your processed foods down as much as you can. I know some people have been so used to having them, but you want to try and keep them to a minimum, especially if you're going over the age of 50, where your body's ability to break these foods down is greatly reduced. And lastly, but not least, try and reduce your caffeine intake. So that's the first half of tonight's session covered. I hope I've been able to do some justice. I know it went quite fast. Black seed oil is fantastic. We have some products with black seed oil we're going to talk about in the second half, which will be a lot shorter. But I'm going to leave this open just for like 5 minutes, if that's okay, Brother Andrew. If there are some questions, I know people are typing questions in the chat. Somebody mentioned brain fog. This will be your opportunity to ask your questions. I'm going to try and go through them quick fire and answer them as quick as we can. Somebody mentioned what is good for brain fog. Straight away, I'm going to cut to the chase. When we get to the second half, I'll show you a product. I don't know if we got it in there. No, we haven't. But we have got a product that we have a formulation of. I'll tell you what's in it first so you know why it works. Called brain juice. Brain juice is amazing because it contains things like ginkgo biloba. It also has ashwagandha. It also has rosemary. It also has electrolyte use and benefit. I'll tell you that in a second. It also has cayenne pepper, capsicum. Now, capsicum is a very, very powerful nutrient and spice because it helps to increase the blood supply. But all of these other compounds and plant extracts, they help to increase the blood supply to the brain. So if you're struggling with brain fog, the first thing you want to do is get some brain juice, and then you'll get some liquid oxygen because oftentimes you're lacking oxygen. So if you're having brain fog, that's the first sign that you could be at risk of developing a stroke, because that means your levels of oxygen to your brain is already reduced. So you want to try and make sure you get good levels of oxygen and good levels of blood supply to your brain that will start to wash away a lot of those impurities that are starting to clog up and invade your brain cells that could start to lead to brain death and neurodegenerative conditions, which could lead to early stage of Alzheimer's, and next stage would be dementia. Somebody asked about the importance of electrolytes. Electrolytes are key. Your potassium, your calcium, your magnesium, your phosphorus. These are superfoods when it comes to electrolytes because electrolytes help to balance the fluid levels in your body. They're also responsible for carrying the signals, because they often carry electrical charges that your body will use when it wants to send messages from the brain to your muscles, to your toes, to your fingers, to your hands, to your eyes, etc. That's why when you have tingling or pins and needles, sometimes there's an interference or there's a deficiency in your electrolytes. That means those signals aren't able to complete their message, and they're not able to get from one point to the other because the electrolyte levels are reduced or inadequate. So therefore, you need to incorporate some coconut water, which has a lot of potassium, or some celery juice, which is also rich in potassium and magnesium, phosphorus, and some of the other powerful minerals. So those are really, really simple foods that you can incorporate if you're struggling with electrolytes. What foods to help with cramps? Cramps, again, is going to be electrolytes and the foods we just mentioned, because oftentimes you're lacking electrolytes, you're lacking magnesium, lacking calcium, lacking potassium. Potassium helps to regulate the muscles and the fluid flow to those muscles. So anywhere you have a lack of fluid, there's vitamins and minerals and compounds that will support that and will regulate that ability within your body. So if you don't have the right levels of potassium, you're going to be lacking muscle function and muscle contraction, which could lead to having cramps. And not only will you have cramps in your muscles, you could also have cramps in your joints, and you could also have cramp in your heart, which is a heart attack. Why? Because the heart is a muscle. So anything that affects the muscles will also affect the heart. That's why potassium is always important when it comes to having blood pressure and high blood pressure and using the things to bring blood pressure down. Why? Because potassium helps to regulate the fluid, but it also helps to regulate the sodium. And when you have too much sodium or salt, it's going to cause you to become very dehydrated. So make sure you incorporate lots of potassium-rich food. We talked about some of the nuts. We talked about pumpkin seed, even pumpkin soup. These are very good sources of potassium. I have too much calcium. What do I need to reduce it? So you need magnesium and vitamin D as well, because all these compounds, what's good for macular regeneration. I'm coming to that one in the next session. We've got about another 2 minutes. I'm going to finish that 5 past now. We'll go to the next session. Please pop those questions in. But yeah, macular degeneration, we've got some really powerful compounds and fruits and vegetables that are superfoods when it comes to macular degeneration and glaucoma and preventing any kind of degenerative eye conditions, because we have a lot of different foods that help to reduce the pressure and the levels of antioxidants that are going to the eyes. All of these things are reversible and they're treatable by having the right levels of food and the right levels of nutrition, but more importantly, having the understanding of how to apply these foods. We never, ever believe there's such a thing as incurable diseases, only incurable people. You know, Henry Ford once said, if you believe you can, or you believe you can't, you're probably right. Whatever you believe in your mind is what is going to happen or become your reality. Celtic salt is good for electrolytes. Yes, it is, but it's so strong. You have to be so careful with that Celtic salt. I don't even know if you mentioned eat it. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Okay, does matcha powder have the same benefits as green tea? What can I take for dry eyes? Okay, use small amounts of Celtic salt, definitely. So matcha powder and green tea. Green tea is very, very good. Matcha green tea, they're different formulas. They're different. They come from different zones. So sometimes you get the one from Japan, and it depends on where it's grown. Because I went to Sri Lanka, and we actually went to the tea factory in Sri Lanka. They're about 100 years old. This company's been there for 100 years, and it showed us all the different grades of tea. And do you know that one strain of tea can actually produce 25 different types of tea? And that same one strain can actually produce green tea as well. We couldn't believe it. I was quite shocked. Because I don't really drink tea, even green tea, I don't drink tea. When I had all the samples, I had the samples of green tea, I had the samples of the black tea, I had the samples of the red tea, which all goes through different levels of processing, by the way. My goodness, I was high for days. There's so many categories, there's so many phenols, there's so many compounds contained within those teas that, my goodness, when they go into your body, especially when you have the high-grade teas, like the silver tip ones, the white tip ones, this is the kind of tea that the Queen drinks. This is when you'll really start to notice the health benefits of those teas. Myasthenia gravis, oh my goodness. Right, that means you've got high levels of antioxidants you've got high levels of free radicals in your body that's really affecting your thyroid and your hormones. You also will have a problem with your pesticide intake. You might be having a lot of foods that contain wheat in your diet. You may be having a lot of bread, pasta, because these foods are laced with pesticides. When you have too many pesticides in your food or in your diet, it's going to interfere with your hormones that will cause what you call endocrine disruption. And when it starts to disrupt the endocrine system, those chemicals that they've used to stop the bugs from reproducing and growing and damaging the crops the following year, when those organisms start to get into your body, via your food system, they will start to interfere with your endocrine system, your thyroid, your parathyroid, your adrenal glands, your pituitary gland, your pineal gland, your uterus, your womb, your breast. They will all be impacted and they'll all be interfered with, and they'll start to malfunction. So you'll start to end up having problems that you don't really want to be dealing with just because you didn't know that you've had an inordinate amount of certain pesticides and chemicals or herbicides ingested into your body. Somebody asked about if you have bone issues. Bone issues, again, is linked to a product we're going to talk about in a little bit, which is rich in silica and magnesium and manganese. Hyperpigmentation, severe hyperpigmentation. If you've got hyperpigmentation, that means you're lacking melanin. If you have hyperpigmentation, that means you are a classic case of high levels of free radical damage. Your melanocytes, which are the cells that are responsible for producing your melanin, have been deregulated and they're downgraded. So you're no longer producing melanin cells. You need to really heavily nourish those cells. You need to stop taking in food, processed foods. You need to stop taking in foods that are rich in free radicals. And you need to stop taking in foods that are going to be supporting and producing free radicals, because that's going to support the ongoing damage to your cells, and more importantly, to your cells that are responsible for producing the melanin. What about Bell's palsy? We had a gentleman, we had a client with Bell's palsy. He came in, he was a young guy actually, he's about 13 or 14, and it was such a powerful case. He came in and we did his scan, we scanned the body, we found everything was going, we found all the impurities, all the deficiencies. We were able to identify all the areas that he was lacking the relevant vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that his brain needed to continue development. We put him on a program, we put him on a home protocol, we removed all the impurities. We then loaded the body up with all the nutrients that it needed, because we had a complete blueprint of everything that was missing. We fed those into the body in food format, because the body recognizes food. And within about, I think it was exactly 11 or 14 days, that boy that was suffering with Bell's palsy was doing push-ups. We were so shocked. Just like the man, the doctor said, Dr. Hyman said, the client that he had, the patient that he had that had a heart bypass, had a stent, that was on $20,000 of medication every year at 70 years old. Within 3 days of her changing her diet, she was able to throw away all her medication. And her heart, blood pressure, everything went down. So people will be amazed at how quickly food actually goes into the body, and the body recognizes it and it starts to do what it's designed to do. The body is the natural born healer. No doctor, no medicine, no surgery can heal the body quicker than the body's own natural inbuilt healing mechanism, healing system. It's called your immune system. That's why I was so shocked when I spoke to those doctors yesterday and they said they study everything about the body. But if I ask the doctors, what do you know about health? They'll know everything about sickness, but they know nothing about health. They know everything about treating sickness, but they know nothing about health. How do you keep the body healthy? We'll give it a pill, we'll give it medication, we'll go to Google. They know nothing about health, but they know everything about sickness. It was quite profound. I was like, wow. So yes, so Bell's palsy, these things are all reversible. Maybe I'm speaking like it's simple. It's not simple. You have to have the understanding. You have to have the know-how. You have to be able to understand the full picture, the full matrix of all the contributory factors that have put the brain and put the body, put the muscles in that situation in the first place. Then you start to undo them one by one, because we're dealing with it from a root cause perspective. So I'm going to close down this chapter. I'm going to go into the next chapter, because now we're going to talk about some of the solutions. We're going to now speak about some of the things that we've put together, the things that we've been using for the last 15 years, that we've helped over 15,000 clients to bring about supernatural transformations within their body. Now, some of the questions that you asked earlier about some of the conditions, these are some of the compounds and some of the formulations that we've been using to address a lot of those situations. So let's jump right in and keep those questions coming, because we are going to have time. I'm going to try and get through this quickly. It's about half the amount of slides as the last one. We'll get through this and we'll take some questions at the end, Brother Andrew permitting, time permitting. So we're going to look at some top plants and herbs for healing, a complete body system guide. A complete body systems guide. You can discover nature's most powerful healing compounds and how they support every system in your body. Now, we spoke a little bit about some of the vitamins, the minerals, and the compounds, and what they do and why these foods are so powerful. So now we're going to see some of these foods in concert, in combination, how they work synergistically together. Because when you're talking about food, you never have one food by itself. if you're going to make up a stew or a sauce, you're going to have your onions, you're going to have your peppers, you're going to have your green peppers, your red peppers, you're going to have your black pepper, you're going to have your spices. You're always going to have a combination of them that will go together that will make the meal. When it comes to healing, the body works in the same way because there's certain things that are going to have the salt, certain things are going to have the pepper, certain things are going to have the spice, certain things are going to have the hot pepper, the cool pepper. So every part of them has a part to play. Every food, every compound has a role to play in the body's ability to heal itself and to create that healing environment. Okay, so the first food we're going to look at here is, okay, it's a product called Brain and Health Cognitive Function, because somebody asked about brain fog. Oops, let me come back out there. Dry skin treatments for feet button. Most definitely, if you've got dry anything, dry eyes, dry feet, dry skin. Oh, what's happened there? Let me share it in. The first thing, if you have any kind of dry anything, is that you need to have, let me stop sharing. You need to have more hydration. You need to have more water. You need to get more hydration into your body, because if you've got dry feet, that means other parts of your body are lacking water, and you need to start incorporating more hydration into your diet, into your regime, because your feet are at one of the extremities that will get water last. Okay, thank you so much, Margaret. All right, so brain health and cognitive function. Let's start with managing and fixing the parts of the body from the head to the toe. We'll talk about eczema a little bit as well. We've got some stuff that will cover that as well. So let's start with the brain and cognitive function. We have a product called Brain Juice. Brain Juice is a very, very powerful formulation. Somebody asked earlier about what you can use for brain fog, any kind of neurodegenerative condition, Alzheimer's. We've got even people that just buy 2 bottles every 3 months for their dad who had really bad dementia, but now he's able to have good conversations. He's really able to participate in family activities, and they're just loving the way they're getting their dad back slowly but surely, just by incorporating a set of foods and plants that the body's able to recognize because they're in a food state. And when the body receives it, it knows exactly what to do with it. So the first product has ginkgo biloba, which enhances circulation to the brain. It helps improve your cognitive function, your memory, in Alzheimer's and mild cognitive impairment conditions. It also contains capsaicin or cayenne pepper, which activates the TRPV1 receptor, which is a protein which is found in nerve cells involved in neuronal protection and cognitive function. And it also helps prevent amyloid plaque production. So when you have dementia, one of the key contributors to dementia is the amyloid plaque. But if you've got the right levels of pepper, cayenne pepper, these will help to activate the protein, because everything in the body is about proteins, enzymes, coenzymes, compounds. These all are the building blocks of your healing system, of your immune system. Once these areas and these departments are all fed with the right nutrients, oh my goodness, you'll be so surprised what the body is able to do. Then it's got ginseng. Ginseng helps prevent memory loss, and it helps to reduce age-related decline. Also contains ginsenosides, which are another set of enzymes that help to reduce beta amyloid plaque levels within the brain. Then it has another very powerful adaptogen called ashwagandha or withania, which inhibits beta amyloid plaque formation, also reduces oxidative stress that contributes to Alzheimer's disease. So all the things that prevent Alzheimer's disease will also be playing a big role in reversing it, because it's got the same mechanisms and it's targeting the same receptors in the body and in the brain that are in need of attention. Then you've got sage. We use this in our children's version, which is really, really powerful. We use sage and blue vervain, helps to really focus a child's concentration. We've had children that used to use our brain and nerve support, which is the children's version, especially when they're going for exams. And when they took that, oh my goodness, the school will call the parents. The parents were worried, asking about why does how come the child's schoolwork has improved so dramatically? What's been going on at home? They didn't know it's because the child is now taking brain and nerve support, which was really firing up their brain and increasing their concentration levels. Then it has things like gotu kola, which improves mental clarity and helps to fight oxidative stress, which also inhibits Alzheimer's associated damage and enhances cognitive function. So brain juice is a very powerful, powerful superfood formula that helps to provide enhanced memory, improved focus, neuroprotection, and reduced brain inflammation. Then we have lung and respiratory system. Now, the lungs and respiratory system, we've been struggling for years. We used to struggle for years to find how do we get the right levels of nutrients into the lungs without having to do using the airways. So we came up with the lung flush. The lung flush is a comprehensive respiratory support formula which contains all of the powerful cleansing plant extracts that the lung recognized that has a very powerful affinity for the lung. Now, Melanin, lungwort, is very, very powerful because it helps to soothe the respiratory tract and reduce inflammation. It also helps to clear mucus. Now, mucus is one of the main progenitors that actually blocks the lung from functioning. When we give you these 6, we only have space to talk about 6 of the ingredients. So some of these formulas have about 12 or even 14 different vitamins, minerals, compounds, plant extracts, and superfoods that make up the complete formula. But we only said to talk about a simple 6 just to keep it simple, so you grasp a basic understanding of how these foods and compounds combine together to really bring about the desired effect. Black seed oil, somebody mentioned black seed oil. We use black seed oil extensively because it has a very, very powerful anti-inflammatory effect, which supports the respiratory health, and it also helps with asthma and any kind of bronchial condition. Then it's rich in eucalyptus, which helps to open the airways. It has antimicrobial properties, and it also helps support the respiratory health as a rule. That's one of the things it's designed to do. Marshmallow root is so powerful. It's all round. It really helps with the gut by putting that mucilage, which coats the whole of the stomach lining, and it also coats the whole of the respiratory lining. So if you have a really persistent cough and you cover it with the marshmallow root, it's like it just suppresses any long-term or dry cough. I've had people that have been coughing incessantly for like days, weeks, months. We give them a capful, just a capful of lung flush, neat, because they're all biodynamic, so they're higher than organic. They're biodynamic. The way they're grown to a very, 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 very supreme high level. And when they're produced and when they're extracted, the levels of the potency of the plant extract is really, really high. So you only need a small amount in water, and you take that, and you'll be surprised how quickly your body responds. So sometimes if you have a really bad or persistent cough, we'll give it to the client neat, and they'll take it neat, and they'll be surprised at how quickly everything just shuts down. So it really coats the mucous membranes in the throat and the respiratory tract, and helps to really shut down a cough by reducing the inflammation. Licorice does the same. It soothes the throat and soothes the bronchial passages, helps reduce inflammation and support respiratory comfort, so you don't have that really uncomfortable feeling where your chest starts to get really tight. Then thyme is another very powerful antimicrobial and expectorant that helps to clear respiratory passages and fight infections. So when you have the lung flush, it really helps to clear your breathing, clear away the mucus, and produce long-term airway function, clear airway function. More to the point. Then we have our heart and cardiovascular system blend. Now, the heart and cardiovascular system blend, we were quite excited about this, but we've got some ones that we're even more excited about.
2 minutes, brother. 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay. So with the hawthorn berry is another berry. We talked about berries earlier. Now, berries are so powerful because they contain the antioxidants that the body really recognizes and can really utilize to great effect. Obviously, we talked about garlic and green tea earlier, but garlic is very, very powerful because it's anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and antiseptic. And then we had cayenne pepper. These are all foods that you combine together to get some really synergistic effects. Then we had the liver and gallbladder and digestive system, which helps, again, milk thistle. Milk thistle is very good for the liver because it really helps with producing the right levels of enzymes that helps to produce or remove those unwanted hormones that are always causing problems for the estrogen levels. Oh, wow, I didn't realize the time's gone by so quick. But the one I'm really excited about, somebody asked earlier about what do you have for fibroids? It's this one. It's the female reproductive system and all-round womanhood. That's why it's called womanhood, because it really helps to break down any kind of hormone imbalance and any kind of hormone deficiency. So people that have fibroids, endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, the combination of these plant-based superfoods, when they come together, they literally deregulate all of the fibrin, which is like the building blocks that actually build the fibroid, and it literally shatters them into pieces. Now I'm going to quickly show you something of a example of somebody who had some really bad fibroids and what was able to, how they were able to transform themselves within literally 3 days.
Hi everyone, it's me again, Beatrice. I'm back for an update after 3 weeks. So this is week 4 that I've been on the program, and my results have been confirmed and they are incredible. So while I can say what I feel, but it can only be confirmed once I've gone back to Aaron and he's confirmed what I suspected. So I suspected that my fibroids had broken up, because I can feel them. I understand not many women can, but I can feel mine because they're that big, and they just feel like that they have been that they're broken down, broken up. Yeah, and that's how I feel. And then I work with an energy healer, and she mentioned that in terms of my fibroids, she says that they're they're broken down, and they are breaking. They're shrinking. They've shrunk and they're shrinking. So coming back today to see Erin, the sign or the color number when I first came was a red, and now it's on blue because the hierarchy or the levels are.
I'm not going to keep you too long on that one because I know because of time. But I just want to show one last one, Brother Andrew, before we close, just so we can show the power of food. Of this is purely food that has been used to bring about this change in this woman. I'll play it really, really quickly. I do apologize. I didn't realize the time had flown by so much. That's all the questions.
Hello, my name is Joanna, and I'm here at Vivo Nutrients with Erin. I've come here today because I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid, and I have a lot of issues going on. I've realized that I'm not absorbing the nutriments, so my body isn't healing as it should be. And I'm expecting great change. My hands, I find it difficult to clench, and Erin had sprayed something on it, and now I'm bending and I can clench it. Now this is a real, and I'm expecting a whole lifestyle change. So yeah. Okay, this is just an update. It's Joanna here. I came to see Erin 3 weeks ago, somewhere there, because I was in a lot of pain.
Wow.
My joints, my hands, I wasn't sleeping properly. And now, I'm really, really happy. There's a lot of change happened. I am sleeping very, very well. I'm not waking up in the night. And I'm able to even lift the covers off, which before it was a struggle. My hands are becoming much more flexible. Still got a way to go, but it's all good. I've lost weight, and I'm just really feeling much more healthier. The food, like I said to Erin before, you don't need a lot of food. Just drink a lot of water, have your green smoothies, and you'll see the difference, literally. And I'm really, really happy with the progress. So, yeah.
How much weight have you lost?
A stone and 1 pound.
In how long?
3 weeks, 4 weeks,
Wow.
somewhere there, yeah.
So what's been the high point of this stage for you?
I would have said my weight at first, but I think it's more about my health and my well-being, being able to climb the stairs, feeling good in myself, feeling good about myself. So a lot of things have changed, and the weight is kind of the bonus now. Before it used to be the weight, but not realizing I had so much issues going on. So with dealing with the issues, everything else falls in line. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brother Andrew. Right, that's the end.
Oh my!
Okay.
You can stop the share screen. Yeah, brothers and sisters, I've seen testimonies before, but especially that last one was absolutely incredible. Incredible. Brothers and sisters, if you've enjoyed tonight, can we see the ones? If you really have learned something tonight, can we see the ones? And some of you were very naughty. Dr. Juice was unsuspecting, but beloved, we've got tons of questions in the Q&A, and that was the correct procedure. And some of you just got away with murder, the doctor just now, putting your questions in the normal chat box. So those of you, I can see over 40, 50 plus questions in the Q&A box. And so I apologize if your questions wasn't answered. But it shows you the level of response we've had tonight with this brother. Now I think all of you can understand why behind the scenes I connected with this brother for tonight's show, because I had the concept in my head some time ago, and I'm thinking who would be the best person to deliver it. And by God's grace, this brother has blown us away tonight. If you really have learned something tonight and you have enjoyed tonight, please drop your ones. Please let us know. Don't forget, if you're a member of the Hidden Truth platform, you will get the full recording of tonight's show. You will get the full recording of tonight's show. And I think as the brother was speaking, another present for you is that we have got a special discount code. So if you're coming from the Hidden Truth platform, we have got a special discount. Sister Alicia, Brother Jamie, my beautiful brother and sister, if you could just put down the discount code, so those who after the show would like to make contact with the brother and use his service, you know that you've got a discount just by being a member of the Hidden Truth platform. These are the things that we're doing because we understand that with numbers come power, come collective economics. And this brother, he loves this platform, hence why he's given us a discount to show unity when we support him and he looks after us. Okay, my family. Dr. Aaron, this was magnificent, brother, in my point of view. Obviously, when we finish tonight, you can give us your feedback and let us know. Brother, before we finish off some other aspects of tonight, what's your closing words?
Closing words are, as we always say, your health, your knowledge of health can never exceed your health. And your health can never exceed your knowledge of health. So the more knowledge you have, the more healthy you'll be. Remember, to be sick is a crime. Don't be a criminal. There's too much information available for people at the moment. There's too much information out there. There's no reason for anybody to be suffering in silence. All you've got to do is reach out and take advantage of what is out there available to you and know how to sift the meat from the bones and throw away whatever doesn't make sense to you.
Brothers and sisters, this is the Hidden Truth. Believe it or not, from the day we started Hidden Truth during COVID, this was the mission. This was the aim. When we have brothers like Dr. Juice, it makes us feel so good because we are fulfilling the dreams that Hidden Truth was based on. We thank you so much, my beautiful king. The Juice Doctor is here with us tonight. And brother, would you be happy to come back again?
You're going to put me in a spot again, fella, Andrew. Oh, why do you always do this? You know what? I would, you know, because I know we've got some extensive stuff going on. And yes, I've committed, especially as we didn't get to answer questions. And I really humbly apologize for going over the time. I shouldn't have answered the questions, but it was just as they were coming up.
No need for apologies, brother. What you've done, we could see was from your heart and it had to be done. Had to be done. So we thank you. We thank you. We thank you.